All I want is to feel loved and secure, but I don't feel that in this family. What is something that you would never confess to your family? That my mother, who always said time and time again that she will never turn into her mother, has turned into her mother. My extended family thinks I've had no career or salary advancement for 10 years. I play a bumbling idiot with them who just can't catch a break. The reason being, they're a cavalcade of self-inflicted sob stories and GoFund grifters. I don't want to be hit up for loans every other week. I'm actually a senior manager at an established consulting firm. If they had a good reason for their misery other than got drunk with the money for bills and didn't pay them, I would help them out. Pretending to be a struggling idiot deflects any attempts at soliciting me for money. I joined the Navy to get away from them, not because I felt some sort of patriotic duty like they tell people. I liked it, I found a purpose, I got great training that got me the job I have today. But I did it because I hated it at home. I would never tell my grandmother how much of an idiot I think my uncle is. She buries her head in the sand about him. I use Reddit. Both of my parents hate me talking to people online because they think I'm going to get kidnapped or raped or something, so I'm not allowed to post / comment / like anything by people they don't know. I'm really happy to only see them once or twice a year due to living 3,000 miles away. I just can't stand them. They all gossip and talk shit and spin their wheels so much you can't even have a normal conversation with any of them. It's all drama and always has been. I never understood how and why I was so depressed my entire life, found escapism through alcohol and partying. Since I've lived across the country I'm sober, have a super awesome family, and I barely ever see them. It's great. My younger aunt and I almost fooled around when we were kids. We didn't know about each other, and when we both met she was 13, I was 15. As we grew up there was a ton of flirting and sexual tension. It never came to anything, thank God, but we had some intimate conversations around it. Oddly enough, both of us are very close today and have even spoken about how ridiculous the whole thing was. Up until about a year ago, I said I would take to my grave that my stepdad molested me for almost 30 years. But I outed the dude 8 months ago. How sad I am. Almost any of my thoughts, feelings and beliefs on anything. I don't think that's really a bad thing, they don't need to know any of that. I really don't enjoy spending time with them. I've been the black sheep since I was a child, and it sucks when the entire family thinks of you as the mean one, then wonder why you don't have any interest in spending time with them. That I accidentally got her, my mom, a non-vegetarian hot dog one time. I just didn't think when I was ordering. She thought it was the best veggie dog ever and had a great night's sleep that night. I will take that to the grave with me. I used to smoke meth. I've been clean for 13 years now and they'll never know. In the worst part of my alcoholism, I tried to overdose on sleeping pills. On the way to the hospital, my mom said it might have been better for everyone if I just did the deed. I haven't forgiven her and I don't know if I can. That I don't feel like part of the family, I feel like I don't belong and like I am just a substitute for when my brother isn't around. I don't feel respected or wanted, I feel like my girlfriend's family likes me more than they do, and if I had the funds to I would have moved out long ago and they probably wouldn't have seen or heard from me since, apart from maybe Christmas, and that is only because of my cousins. In 3rd grade, I cheated on my history exam. In 4th grade, I stole my Uncle Max's toupee and I glued it on my face when I was Moses in my Hebrew school play. In 5th grade, I knocked my sister. My husband knows, but I am very apathetic and don't feel a lot. I do feel and have feelings, but not the same as other people seem to. I know what I should feel and have learned how to react when I need to, but I tend to truly only feel more extreme emotions, and the rest of the time I am just content or neutral. I've dropped psychedelics and the old lazy posse was killed on my trip. Now I'm super motivated and hardworking. That I started masturbating every day at age 9. That I am about to fail university. I struggle but can't tell them because they are proud of me. I went to a brothel while I was in Germany and it was amazing. A family member used to live in our home, groomed me, and sexually abused me when I was around 12 years. Not sure about the age, don't really want to remember. But yeah, I don't think I would ever tell them. I'm not even sure they would believe me. Most of my mental health was caused by them. I love my parents, but I am mentally screwed up. I am not a sociopath, but I have issues, and I am Asian, and mental health isn't something that is considered an illness in the Asian community. I'm bisexual. I'm not ashamed of it at all. I'm out to everyone non-family. I've been with my boyfriend for 4 years and I just see no reason to risk them freaking out about it, and I'm not that close with them anyway. As much as I try, it's next to impossible to articulate how they made us, my siblings and myself, feel as children and the deep-seated emotional trauma that brings with it. We love each other even now, and by no means were they terrible people or the kind of parents that I'd have been taken away with. They did their best and tried so hard, but they aren't perfect and their mistakes cut deep. I still have a relationship with both of them and I love them dearly. I guess that's probably why I'll never tell them how awful it all was. I physically can't bring myself to. It's like trying to talk when your tongue goes numb. I can't imagine breaking it to them that they sucked. I would never tell my mom that I don't like her cooking. That I would be happier if I never had to see them again. That I want to give up on marriage and kids. I have trust issues, and every time I trust people, they disappoint me in the end. So I would like to save my kids from such trust issues by not having them. That I don't share their love and obsession with the band Heart. They would never look at me the same if I ever confessed to this. 3 years ago, my family and I were as close as can be. Then one day, I drove home from school and had to park on the road because my normal spot in the driveway was taken up by a car that I'd never seen before. Both my parents' cars were in the driveway and my sister was almost always home by this point, so I figured it was one of her friends from school or something. I opened the door and apparently didn't make that much noise, because after I'd opened it, I heard a woman who was definitely not my mom or my sister yelling, in what I thought was the pain. I've never told anyone else what I saw when I walked down the hall and opened that door. My dad was inside, who I found out later was a friend of his from work. His eyes and mine locked a split second before he grew as big as basketballs. He sat up on the bed, staring at me with a mixture of fear and anger in his eyes. Through gritted teeth, in a voice that I've never forgotten since, he said, quietly but forcefully, "I wish for death every night before I fall asleep. I hate myself, everyone, everything, and want to not feel anything anymore." In high school, when they thought I was at a wholesome sleepover, I was actually completely wasted on cheap vodka, running around on the local golf course and peeing without abandon. That I don't love my parents. I know it sounds kinda bad, but I honestly don't. I posted recently a few reasons why. But even though I don't love them, I don't want to hurt them by saying it. The fact that I've been depressed for more than half my life. I remember a family friend had committed suicide and my parents were saying, "I don't understand how someone could do that." I calmly said I could really relate to why someone would do that. The look of disbelief and desperation in my mother's face broke my heart, and I realized how she had interpreted what I said. I don't live at home, and for almost a month afterward, she would call me every day to check on me and make sure I was okay and tell me that I'm loved, and if I ever needed to talk about anything, she and my father were always there for me. I have a daughter. I've never wanted kids, but being young, dumb and full of cum, I got my fiancée pregnant, but with our issues, we couldn't deal with actually taking care of a kid, so we put her up for adoption. The family who got her was very excited and had been trying for almost a decade to have one of their own but couldn't. They had just gotten through the background stuff the month before she was born, and this was their first chance at actually adopting. They were super happy. My fiancé cried at giving her to them, and I just wanted to go get fucked up and forget it. We got married and divorced a few years back, and I got my life together, but occasionally I think of her but can't bring myself to try and chat. I would have ruined that child's life. I absolutely do know why no computer in the house seems to be able to access any Fox/Sky/News Limited website and could fix it in 20 minutes. But just like my parents refused to get internet at home until after I'd finished high school in 2008 for my own good, I'm now doing something for their own good. Also, I was the one who reported my brother's first girlfriend to the child abuse report, leading to her abuse of my nephew being investigated, my brother having a mental breakdown, and my mom has to be the primary caregiver to the nephew. No regrets, but for the stress it caused, it's not something I'm admitting to. Probably that I don't believe in God anymore. I grew up in a decently religious household where we went to church every Sunday, and I was really involved in my youth group from middle school until I left for college. Once I was in college, I finally started questioning religion a lot more, and it wasn't long before I realized it made no sense at all to me, and that I had mainly loved going to church so much in high school because all of my friends were there and it was my primary social outlet. At this point, I think my mom might have suspicions. But in my mind, it would only do harm to confirm them and tell her, because I am still able to be my 100% self around her, and it would really hurt my parents' emo. My grandma, on the other hand, is extremely X1000 religious. This is where I have more issues because, for one, I have to pretend I'm a totally different person around her, which as I get older, really sucks and makes me question my relationship with her. And two, I know if I told her I didn't believe in God, she would absolutely never talk to me again. It's a real shitty situation, but in the end, I'd rather not stir the pot and stick to just calling her once a month to have the same meaningless conversation we always do to keep her happy. When I was around 6, I heard that cats always land on their feet, so I thought I would test this out on our family cat. I picked up the cat and dropped her over the banister above the stairs in our house. She landed on her side, then ran away and hid for a while. When I got older, I remembered a separate incident of her getting pregnant and all but 2 of the kittens being stillborn. I have no idea if she was pregnant when I dropped her over the banister, but it haunts me as an adult to think about. I'm taking that story to my grave. That I have this Reddit account and a Twitter account. I'm not allowed social media. I'm 14 and almost all of the kids in my grade have some form of social media. My mom doesn't get it that some social media platforms are okay. Heck, she even said she doesn't believe in social media and has a ducking Facebook account. My second husband, that they all think is wonderful, has cheated on me. And it's actually far worse than the cheating that caused my first divorce from my high school sweetheart I had spent 15 years and had 2 children with. And I daily wish that if I had to work on a marriage, it was my first. I'm going through the motions, and I smile and nod while they gush about him. If they knew he had slept with 5 other women in the course of our relationship, it would be awful. I found out about all of them in the course of a few months, a year after we married. Had I even had a suspicion before, I wouldn't be here. But he's a cop and I was an RN in NP school with 2 kids. He's in his 40s, I'm in my late 30s. I fucked up by thinking we were busy adults and I didn't need to babysit a grown man. I was wrong. That I've been sexually assaulted from a young age from multiple guys, one of them being my older brother. My mom found out about one of them and she called me a slut, a whore, and a prostitute, then said she wished I wasn't her daughter because I'm a disgrace and I ruined her life. So I never told her anything about any of the others. That I'm actually married already. My, now, husband and I ran off and got married early due to some personal issues and COVID didn't help. We're setting to get married in November. His immediate family knows and my friends do, but definitely not my mother. She would have a fit. I'm waiting till I get my stimulus check if she ever finds out, so I can give her the money back if she wants it for my dress. This is way too scary. I was molested repeatedly as a young boy by a neighbor for about a year. An older kid who was evidently really fucked up. Having low self-esteem as I did, I knew it was wrong but didn't know what to do and somehow felt responsible for it. I eventually told my mom, but she didn't believe me, I think because she didn't want to deal with the fact that she left me alone way too much as a child. To this day I have only a very superficial relationship with my mother, and can't forgive her for not believing me. I spent 20 years wasted on meth trying to deal with this before I went to rehab and got some help for my drug use and my emotional wreckage. I actually really don't like them as people. I love my family and would do anything for them, but sweet Jesus, I think I'd rather be alone again. That getting disowned by my mother was one of the best things that ever happened to me, and it ultimately backfired and destroyed her life. That my husband and I are trying to have a baby. Both my mom and his mom are really intense and badly have granny fever. I don't want to be constantly hounded by them trying to figure out if I'm pregnant and have everything I do be criticized in case it might harm a bundle of cells before it's even a fetus. Now that I'm a parent, I'm starting to side with my black sheep brother, and I can see that my mom is a selfish piece of shit and I don't want her around me and my kids either. I can't stand my mom who lives with me. She's judgmental, mean, interfering, and wants to be in charge. I'll be 57 in 3 weeks. It's lame to bitch about my mom as a senior myself, but she's pretty hard to take. The past 8 years of her in my home has pretty much killed our relationship. Both of my parents are professional cooks. They will never know I enjoy Velveeta, beefaroni, and bologna. The shame. I fucking hate my paternal grandfather. He spent his life abusing my grandmother physically, mentally, and emotionally, and now he's demented and we're trying to get him committed to a psychiatric facility. He has recently taken to grabbing her arm and not letting her go, screaming all through the night so she can't sleep, and demanding sexual acts from her. We are afraid he could suffocate her in their own bed with a pillow. He can't get out of bed from years of type 2 diabetes and a whole bunch of other stuff, but now his mind is finally going and he talks all the time about wanting to kill himself. Last week he had a mouthful of morphine pills but didn't end up swallowing them. I wish he did. I wish my grandmother would inject too much insulin and kill him. That day, I was awake when they decided to have morning sex and that I heard and saw everything. I was 9 yo. I was sleeping in the same room. Thank you for watching Reddit Space. Please subscribe if you love these Reddit stories.